push the game to its limit, trying to beat it as fast as humanly possible. Look, this isn't Mario 64 or Super Metroid, but hit and run is its own unique thing. Speedrunners have poured thousands of hours into breaking it, and the result 20 years later is a shockingly deep speedrun. This is the story of how we got there. This is the history of the Simpsons Hit and Run World Records. And now, a word from this video's sponsor, Displate. Displates are metal posters. Displates stay vibrant. The year is 2005. The main hub for speedrunning is a website called Speed Demos Archive. And over on the forums, a group of site members are discussing how to speedrun a relatively new game, The Simpsons Hit and Run. However, the conversation ultimately goes nowhere. And this begins a trend. Every few years, a new runner comes along and brings up speedrunning the game. And every time, they're told it simply wouldn't be a good game to speedrun. So, why? Well, forum goers in the mid-2000s identified three main problems. The first problem, they actually thought the game was too hard. Now, that's not totally unfounded. Simpsons Hit and Run has 7 levels, and each level has 7 missions to complete. Missions in the first few levels are pretty easy, but the last few levels do have some very tough missions. If you've played Simpsons Hit and Run, you probably remember the infamous missions Never Trust a Snake and Set to Kill. You also need to complete objectives under a time limit. Any slowdowns and you run out of time. You also need to avoid hit and runs. If you run into too many objects or pedestrians, the police come after you, potentially slowing you down and taking some of your coins. Speaking of, that was the second main problem, coins. You must collect 3,625 of them to unlock everything needed to beat the game. They're scattered all across the levels in boxes, machines, wasps, and other places. You have to go out of your way to collect enough of them, severely slowing down a speedrun. So, reasons The Simpsons Hit and Run is a bad speed game.
Okay, my mic's working now.
The game is too hard, and the game is too easy. Yeah, if you fail a mission 7 times, Hit and Run gives you the option to skip it and move on to the next one. So, for 3/4 of the game's missions, it's faster to restart over and over and skip the mission, rather than actually playing it. That would make an any percent speedrun quite easy, and exceedingly boring. Because of all this, speedrunners ignored Simpsons Hit and Run for years. New forum threads would pop up and fizzle out without much attention. But speedrunning kept growing over the years. More people got into the hobby, and those runners looked for new games to run. And finally, in 2012, nearly a decade after its initial release, the first speedruns of The Simpsons Hit and Run were performed. A few runners played straight up any percent, where you were allowed to restart and skip missions. This led to some fairly boring runs, but there were still very talented players. Duke Bilgewater and Nefe for President completed the first any percent runs of Hit and Run. But then, another more popular category began to form. The rule set for this category was that you had to complete all 49 story missions without skipping it. To this day, it remains the most popular category of The Simpsons Hit and Run, and it's called All Story Missions. Early runs were performed by runners Finja29 and Cookie. No videos of their world records survive, but they got times clocking in around 2 hours. The early hit and run community kept track of their times on a Google spreadsheet. Runners would simply post their fastest times to the board. It was a small and tight-knit community. And it's from this early community that we get our first world record with surviving video. The Simpsons Hit and Run in 1 hour and 54 minutes by Pessimistic Mango.
Work today is broken. Every day, people juggle so many different tools just to get work done. A simple task turns into a time-consuming mess because work sprawl has scattered the tools and context we rely on. And the trend towards bundling software isn't addressing the root of the problem. The system solve the root of the problem, we built a single flexible platform
26 to 98, bro.
that can be shared
We cannot be
among multiple
serious.
first-class products.
Hit and Run is one of the most technical games I've ever covered on this channel, and it all started with the coin route. Mango had to find the best way to collect over 3,600 coins without wasting too much time. Certain missions had downtime built into them. For example, if he just had to follow a car around the map, he could drive around and collect coins himself, while making sure he stayed close enough to the car. But even on the other missions, Mango had to collect coins, and tried to do it whenever he happened to be near some. It was a balancing act, but he mapped his coin route out across the entire game. Then there's the tricks. Hit and Run has a lot of them. Some are quite basic, like mission warps. After finishing a mission, the game usually tells you to drive somewhere to begin the next one. But instead, by going to the menu after mission complete appears on the screen, you can select the next mission and warp there straight away. Another basic piece of tech is car resets. You can reset your car at any time and it'll warp to the nearest main road. This can move you ahead a bit on the map or just get you back on track quicker. That's the easy stuff. There's second nature to Hit and Run speedrunners, but Mango's Run also had some sophisticated tricks, like Carl Skip. In the 7th mission of level 1, or 1-7, you're supposed to race Smithers to Mr. Burns' mansion. The intended route is to drive all the way around the map, but if you instead push Carl with your car past the power plant door, and then talk to him to initiate the race, the power plant door closes with you already past it. So, you can just quickly drive through the power plant to the mansion, and save about a minute on the speedrun. Other important parts of Mango's Run were the destruction missions. There's several of these throughout the game. You have to destroy a car or multiple cars as quickly as you can by running into it over and over. Mango had some clever strategies for dealing damage quickly. In 6-5, where he had to destroy Skinner's car, he directed it against the wall and another car. It got stuck, and he was able to ram it over and over. But not all destruction missions went smoothly. In 1-3, for instance, he spent a lot of time trying to chase Smithers' car down and damage it. And finally, while Mango was a fantastic player, The Simpsons Hit and Run is still a hard game, especially at the end. In level 7, you have to deliver nuclear waste all the way across the map without accidentally blowing it up. In 7-5, a car slid in front of Mango and blew up the waste,
Fuck.
making him restart the mission. And
That
in
would have been so
7-7,
fast, bro.
he just grazed the edge of a tree, but it was enough to blow up the waste again, losing another chunk of time. And that was the run. An hour and 54 minutes later, Mango had beaten the game. It had its shortcomings, but overall, this was a great starting point for Hit and Run speedruns. Mango knew he could do better, and he'd go on to lower the record a few more times in the following days.
Fuck.
Sadly, not saving any of
That
his
would have been so fast, bro.
Finally, May 29th, he got a run he was happy enough with to save. 1 hour and 50 minutes. It was a greatly cleaned up version of his hour 54 run. Nearly every level was faster. He got better at destroying vehicles quickly, and once again he had some brilliant strategies here. For instance, in 3-7, why destroy the limo yourself when you could get it stuck so it destroyed itself while you picked up coins? Mango's level 7 was cleaner too, blowing up the waste only once. But he had one notable time loss. He missed a big trick that we haven't talked about yet. The cutscene skip. The Simpsons Hit and Run has a handful of cutscenes. They play after certain missions, and there's no option to skip them. You have to watch them. Except, there's a trick you can do on 3 of the cutscenes. The ones after level 2, level 5, and level 6. After mission complete fades out, if you pause the game in a small window just before the cutscene starts, you can select the next mission and skip the cutscene entirely. You have a 9-frame window to skip a level 2 cutscene and a 16-frame window for levels 5 and 6. That's between a 20th of a second and a quarter of a second depending on your frame rate. You can also repeatedly pause to give yourself a better chance at hitting it. So all in all, cutscene skip doesn't seem that bad. But level 6 cutscene lasts 45 seconds, the level 2 cutscene lasts 55 seconds, and the level 5 cutscene lasts a whopping 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So there's added pressure of knowing that if you miss one, it's a huge blow to your speedrun. And sure enough, in this run, Mango missed the level 6 cutscene skip. It was a 45-second time loss. Had he gotten it, it would have been a sub 150. Mango made that his goal time going forward, a run in the 140s. But it wasn't going to be easy, because Mango wasn't the only player who could get that time. In mid-2014, he got a competitor. Meet Pet Iguana.
Why I fly KLM. I can easily connect from Amsterdam to loads of destinations around the world. Convenient connections and flight times that suit me. It's just easy.
Does your Luron make you feel good? Who gives a crap donates
Wanna get
50%
that, bro.
of their profits. So add some woo to your loo with feel-good toilet paper. Who gives a crap?
Mango had reason to be afraid, and not just because iguanas eat mangoes, but because on June 14th, Iguana got a run of 150.08, a new record and just 9 seconds from the sub 150. In true hit-and-run fashion, Iguana didn't highlight his run since he wasn't happy with it, but Mango and Iguana were
No, bro.
Iguana was
Fuck.
sub 150, and they were both 2 seconds away. Who would get there first?
Bro, the consistency is crazy though. At least
Mango got a
I'm not
good
complaining.
chance. His run started with the fastest level 1 he'd ever performed. The next few levels were up and down, but crucially, he got all 3 cutscene skips, meaning he saved an additional 45 seconds. Mango entered level 7 on pace for a 149.58. It seemed like it was going to be close, but instead, Mango played his fastest ever level 7, and it was a blowout. 148.16, nearly a 147. The middle had its slowdowns, but Mango had started and finished his run incredibly strong. The ball was in Iguana's court. Could he compete with a 148? For a few months, he did struggle to beat Mango's run, but by that November, the tides had turned and he felt he had a great chance to pull it off. How come? Well, it all came down to destroying vehicles, where Iguana had some new strategies. The armored truck in 5-6 is one of the longest destruction missions in the game. It takes forever to be destroyed, especially with Snake's car, which isn't adept at dealing damage. It took Mango 2.5 minutes to destroy it in his 148, but here's what Iguana did. He guided it off the road so it got stuck against the pillar. It then damaged itself over time as it tried to escape, and Iguana destroyed it in under a minute. The armored truck strat would become one of the most pivotal strategies in the entire run. Miss it, and you have a big time loss. Another fast destruction strategy was in 1-3. Iguana steered Smithers' car into a house and repeatedly hit it while stuck to destroy it quickly. A solid time save over Mango chasing the car down.
Where's my hand
Perhaps
shaking,
my
bro?
favorite new strategy was in 4-7. Here, you have to escape Chief Wiggum by getting far enough away from him. But instead of driving far, Iguana just went inside the Simpsons house. And the mission ended, saving him 10+ seconds. This works because the inside of the house is located very far away from the rest of the map. So the game detects that you've escaped Wiggum and just ends the mission. Thanks to these new strategies, on November 17th, Iguana was able to pull 2 minutes ahead of the record going into level 7. But he wasn't out of the woods yet. Remember, he was up against Mango's gold split here, and he was 100 coins shy, meaning he'd have to pick up extra coins before buying the zombie car. Despite a big lead, this was going to be close, and most importantly, Iguana had to avoid blowing up the waste.
Oh shit, that was close. I definitely thought that blew up.
And what's more, both Chat and his roommates were heckling him.
Oh, we have no idea what time this is. That could not even be close to world record.
down to an hour and 45 minutes. The worst part of this run was missing the armored truck strat in 5-6, but he had a much cleaner level 6 and 7, and used a new strategy in 3-3 to let him repeatedly hit Cletus's truck. So yeah, Iguana and Mango were just trading this record back and forth. The game's two best competitors, rivals that would clash for years to come. And maybe they would have if someone else didn't come along. In early 2015, a runner named Liquid Wi-Fi became a record contender. He'd started running the game a few months prior, and by February 2015 had managed to lower his time down to a 148, a bit behind the world record of 145. But on February 20th, he shocked the hit-and-run community by doing, well, this. Exiting level 3, Liquid Wi-Fi was over a minute behind the world record, but that was a bit misleading. See, Liquid took a different coin route from most other runners. He chose to get more coins early in the run, so he didn't need to pick up as many in the later levels. So, he entered level 4 with a coin lead, and gained time by not having to pick up as many. By level 5, he was nearly even with the record. And although he too missed the armored truck strat, this was still barely on record pace going into level 7. But the mission started going well. He wasn't blowing up the waste, and this looked like it might actually have
Yes!
that record.
Oh my god, come on.
Last mission, on his way
Yes!
up the waste, he
I'm
tried
so
to
fucking good, bro.
and that was it. See, he still had to pick up
Oh
the
my
pace.
god, bro, that is insane. I did that so fast,
If
bro.
the police caught him
Oh
there,
my
he
god.
was likely run over. Liquid had
I'll message
to
my
find a
mate,
way
hold on.
to evade capture.
Holy, I evaded them. Let's go. This is
Fucking
going
hell.
to be seconds between me and world record. Oh my god, this is close. This is so close.
Oh. Alright, get the calculator out. So,
Run record holder. Huge improvement, but a very
2261
small last couple levels was enough to get it done.
plus
Iguana had just lost,
3527. That's my second extreme.
so
5, 7, 8, 8
however, he saw
attempts.
his record had been beaten. Iguana booted up the game, started playing, and
Alright. What do I do now, bro? Do I just end stream? I've been live for like 20 minutes.
pushed the run to the next minute.
No one's watching this shit anyway, but it's fine.
Curiously, it was yet another world record that missed the armored truck strat.
Yeah,
This time
alright.
thanks to a car getting in the way.
I don't know how to feel right now. I don't know. It doesn't feel like that just happened, you know?
Strategies that Liquid missed, like
I guess I'm
Smithers'
not
car
going
in
this
1-3,
way. I'll just
but there were still obvious time saves that he missed out on. Bottom line, Liquid and Iguana both knew
Was it 5, 7, 8, 8?
so they kept playing. Around this time, Liquid began implementing a new piece of tech into his runs, e-brake boosting. Hit and Run has three main driving buttons: accelerate, reverse, and e-brake. By holding all three at once, then letting go of reverse, and then letting go of e-brake, you get a huge acceleration boost forward. This is particularly useful if you have to hit something over and over. In 3-3, for instance, when you have to hit Cletus's truck to collect 15 items,
Cool.
you can see how e-brake boosting lets you get in more hits over time. Over the following few months, the big three runners would all set new records. In late February, Liquid got a 142.19. In April, Mango got a 142.03. And in May, Iguana got a 140.49. These guys were
Alright, cool. I'm gonna go for niwa now.
actively playing, the world record was plummeting. Much of the time save came from the margins, rather than actual
let me just,
strategies. Cleaner driving, faster destructions, that sort of thing. Their overall skill level was rising, and nobody was sure where the ceiling was. So, who would come through next? Well, in November 2015, it was Mango setting a new world record. And this run has an important distinction. It was the first world record with load times removed. See, Hit and Run has to load in between missions, and this can take a variable amount of time. Depending on how powerful the runner's PC is, this can add up to multiple minutes of difference across the run. So, the community created the Load Remover Auto Splitter. It detects when Hit and Run is loading and automatically pauses the timer. So, when Mango beat Iguana's world record, it was initially timed as a 1:40:41, but using Load's remove time, it was a 1:40:05. This run also featured another big new strategy, car despawning. By flicking the camera angle back and then forward, certain objects like cars and pedestrians despawn. This can move things out of your way, or more importantly, out of the way of an AI-controlled vehicle. They'll crash into fewer cars, saving you time on the speedrun overall. Mango's run lasted for 8 days, when the next member of the Big Three struck, Iguana, who got a 1:38:35 and then a 1:38:03. It was a mix of faster execution and some strategy improvements. He had a new coin route, picking up more coins in level 4 Skinner's car in Crescent Blue Studios. Destroyed vehicles saved a lot of time in 6-, picked up about 45 seconds and saved time on the armored truck, and hit and destroy missions were cleaner overall. Phew. It's exhausting to keep track of everything that was happening, and these guys still weren't at their limits. Since 2014, it had been a 3-way competition between Mango, Iguana, and Liquid for the Simpsons Hit and Run world record. They constantly traded it back and forth among themselves, but nobody else ever broke through to take it from them. They were the 3 best runners of the game by far, an exclusive club at the top with only 3 members. The combination of new strategies being added, with the world record frequently changing hands, makes this a tough timeline to follow. But luckily for us, someone was about to come along and simplify things a bit. In mid-2016, a player named Robot Crocodiles appeared on the scene. He took one look at our 3 world record holders and spat on them. Over the course of several months, Croc single-handedly took 5 minutes off the Hit and Run world record. Unfortunately, all of his videos were deleted, so we can't watch any of them today. But we do have an idea of what they looked like. Croc more or less revolutionized the game. Were there new strategies? Well, of course there were, and he used them to his full advantage. In 1-7, Croc used Carl Skip. Instead of running over Carl, he simply reversed to the door and reset his car. The game's default reset point here is right at the door entry, so you respawn halfway past the door. You can then continue reversing and make it all the way through. Faster and more consistent than Carl Skip. Croc also switched vehicles for a couple missions. In 1-3, instead of using Homer's sedan, he used a traffic car that dealt more damage. Similarly, in 3-4, he switched out Mr. Plow for the school bus. Another big one was in 4-1, a strat called Donut Fire. You're supposed to hit the donut truck 10 times and collect the items, and the strategy here used to be letting it hit you 10 times. But instead, Croc began guiding it into a corner and then hitting it over and over. This was both faster and much safer than the old strat, as you get rid of RNG when traffic gets in the way. But Croc's dominance was from more than just new strats. It's also because he'd raised the bar for his execution. See, Croc began by grinding individual levels instead of full game runs. He got good at them, eventually holding every IL record in the game. This gave him a mastery of each individual mission that nobody else had. He was able to pick up minutes across the run just from better driving. He slowed down less overall and took cleaner lines.
Alright,
Croc lowered
cool.
the record a lot in a short period of time.
Well, I need to
Pulled
fold
away
the
from
manager
runners
soon.
behind him, and he was undoubtedly the best player the game had ever seen. Sadly, a few months after these, the best player, he'd pulled away. Croc lowered the record a lot in a short period of time. He'd pulled away.
To be honest,
from
I've done
runners
so
behind him,
many attempts
and
of
he was
niwa, and I've done
undoubtedly
so
the
few
best
attempts on
player the
cataclysm,
game had
but
ever seen.
I've done so many better
Sadly,
runs
a
on
few months
cataclysm than
after
have
these
niwa.
runs, Croc
Maybe some
disappeared,
shit at
taking his
fucking,
channels
what's it
and
called?
videos with him.
Flow, but still.
Today, it's impossible to watch any of his records. It's really too bad. Because if he'd stuck around, he might have been able to prevent what happened next. In late May 2017, someone finally broke through to take the record from Croc. Our old friend Liquid Wi-Fi. This was his first record in more than 2 years. His new time was 1:32:44. But in the description, lots of mistakes in this run. And there were a bunch of them, adding up to at least a couple minutes of obvious time save. But still, Croc had raised the bar for execution, and now Liquid had matched it. One other thing Liquid said in the description, I think sub 130 is possible. Well, right around this time, Liquid
Alright, I'm gonna stop streaming now, goodbye.
full-time, playing Simpsons Hit and Run
Well, actually,
for
no.
several hours every day.
I'm gonna stop streaming and then start up a new one.
Took over our story.
Like immediately after. Because I still kind of want to play.